not ever approach cell tower negotiations and contracts without an expert or a consultant. Do not do it. It is so complex. You don't understand it. You don't understand the implications. I don't care how smart you are. These people, they know what they're doing, and they have huge teams and they have power. I mean, they will rip you up. Like it's a utility. They need it. And the value that they hold, that they're deriving from your property, is astronomical. You know, we've obviously talked a lot about bad things, things like that. So before we continue on, we should also talk about the good things, because there are good things with it.
I know that was, man, one of the most common questions, I think, after one of our last episodes, especially on YouTube. It was like, okay, are cell towers even worth it? Like, should I even do it? Should we even consider it? Like, because I think the title of the video is like how horrible, cell towers are. But at the end of the day, it's a huge question on people's minds on whether or not it's even worth it. So yeah, I think it can be like anything. You just have to do it right. Wouldn't you say?
Yeah, I mean, people contact us, and one of the questions we get, and for years I had a difficult time answering this question. They said, "What's your success rate?" And I say, it's not like a batting average, like I'm going out to bat and here's my batting average. But I finally came to the kind of, in my mind, I go, it's 100%. It's either we get somebody to sign a good lease or keeping them from signing a bad lease. That's our job here. And it can be worth it if you do a few things. From the financial standpoint, it can be worth it if you structure the lease in a way, not as a real estate transaction, as I mentioned before, as a utility transaction. What I mean by that is a cell tower company or a wireless carrier wants you to do three things from the financial perspective. Agree to a rent, agree to a rent escalator, and agree to a term. Why? If they can get you to agree to those three things, no matter what those numbers are, they have fixed their cost. However, the problem is, if I could go to you and say, look, I want to buy a service from you, I want to buy a good from you, and I want you to fix the cost for me for the next 30 years, no matter how much benefit I get, and you can never walk away from the deal, that'd be a great deal, because I fix my cost, no matter how much I can sell that good for, or how beneficial that service is. We try to get property owners to understand, if you really want to make money, serious money from a cell tower lease, you have to structure it in a way that's like a utility agreement. Get it right on the first day, but make sure as the cell tower company or the wireless carrier continues to benefit, you're pulled up. If not, you're the launching pad, they're the rocket. Your view is going to always see them going up, and you stay the same level. Well, people come to us and say, I got a good deal on a cell tower lease. I said, how much did you get? And they say a number. I said, how much more do you get if they're getting twice as much value, 3 times as much value? And they say, I still get my rent. And I say, that's not a good deal.
Okay, and this is the really important piece, because what I found is it's like they almost make it like when you go into it first, lots of times it seems like, oh, I'm getting a good deal because it's like they're paying me more than almost they should. The reason being is they only have a select amount of maybe providers on that tower. But then a year later, they go and they triple the amount of providers. They have more access, more needs that they need from that cell tower. They're producing way more, and they knew they were going to do that. And so they give you really good upfront, but that's just because they know it's fixed, like you said. And then we're going to add all of these other providers onto our tower. The tower is going to become much bigger, and it's going to become this huge anchor point in this city or this area where everybody needs to use it. And all of a sudden, like you said, your property now is worth tons of value, huge value to them, and not to you. And then your restrictions, everything else comes. That's where I see like a lot of the pain, because it's so far out. You're talking these terms and everything that they work on. It's really, really far out. And some of these cell towers, they're staples in the community. Like it's a utility. They need it. And the value that they hold, that they're deriving from your property, is astronomical. And all of a sudden that $2,000 a month that you thought was incredible, it's nothing to the value of your property, of which you don't get anymore. They literally took it from you. And so if you structure it right, though, like you said, as that value increases on your property, the value of your property increases, because we can realize that in real estate. The value of a commercial real estate property is the revenue it produces. The revenue it produces increases with demand and how much tenants we have. What you're doing is you're getting a really high value, but you're never getting the upside of income. Therefore, you never increase the value, even though the market has. That's what you're doing in this contract. It's like saying, I'm going to buy this storage facility at today's rents and I'm getting a good return, but I can never have the value of that real estate rise. We would never do that. But yet people do it every day with cell tower leases, and it's their property they just gave up. But they, like you said, they don't know that it's happening. So one of the things, though, is that value can go up, and it can be a huge ancillary income for you. So how do you know, first of all, I mean, obviously contact you, things like that, but is there a way that people could even know if their site is good or not? Or, I mean, how does that work? Because this isn't something we're experts in and we don't want to be. But if a cell tower provider contacts us or we want to go down that road, walk us through how that works and what cell tower companies, wireless carriers, what do they want? What are they trying to get?
So one quick note, you're exactly right on what you just mentioned. What a cell tower is infrastructure. It's like a road or a bridge, and that's why it's so valuable. It's not, people think it's technology, but it's infrastructure. Would you rather own a car or the bridge or the road? Cars change, you drive down the same roads. So how do you determine the value? Very simple. You understand two things. They're simple, but they're complex underneath. One, if you're looking at a site, when somebody contacts us regarding a new cell tower lease or an existing cell tower lease, first thing, we start looking at what the value, what the purpose of that one, not anybody else's, not down the road, not across the city, nobody, what the value of that one site is and will possibly be to that cell tower company. Understanding value, understanding what limitations they have, et cetera, et cetera. Understanding that is you need to, and that's tough for a property owner to do because they don't have the information, they don't have the expertise to get on the phone with a cell tower company and talk to them and say, well, you can't go here, and the reason you're building is this way because the network, the wireless network is built out this way, and you only have this many options. We know that. That's how we're able to negotiate. We talk to cell tower companies and wireless carriers, and we don't worry what they've offered our clients. Our first conversation is what we are offering them. We understand what the offer is to them, what value they derive. Second point, we understand what the detriment they're avoiding is. And what I mean by that is not only financial versus having one site one place versus another site another place. That's part of it. If you understand what the build cost is, comparing sites, or what a relocation cost may be, if they're saying if you don't agree to certain terms on a renegotiation would be, you understand what detriment they're avoiding. That is one of the biggest mistakes property owners who have existing cell towers make. They don't understand what you're offering the cell tower company in avoidance of detriment. If you understand that, you can negotiate a deal out going forward. But it's not only economic, it's operational. I use this example. Certain people are old enough to remember rabbit ears on a TV. If you have that rabbit ears on a certain place on that TV, great pictures. But if you start to move it a little bit, you can still see the picture, but it's not as good. You start to move cell tower locations from its optimal point, you lose operational capacity. And that's where you have to understand the layers below every time a property owner's been approached for a new cell tower lease or if they have an existing cell tower lease.